Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to the Quantum Business Queen podcast. This podcast is a vortex for activating wealth, riches, and boss bitches. It is here that I teach multi-dimensional business. Our content will fall under 3 different categories: 5D quantum creation, 4D frequency alchemy, and the most potent 3D strategy. Every aspect of business that contributes to the creation of success is covered here. Plus, I will be personally interviewing the most amazing boss bitches that are at the forefront of the game, paving the way for money, magic, and magnetism in business. Let's get ready to activate all of that within you. All right, beautiful souls, we're going to get started. So I'm really excited to speak to you today about we're going to go through what I call multidimensional business. And so what multidimensional business is basically what we encapsulate in the Business Academy and in our entry product, which is the foundations of building a quantum empire. And basically, we are multidimensional beings. We exist on different realms, and our business is a replica of our consciousness. What we experience in our business is what is happening within our consciousness. And so we need to understand how that mirrors and how that reflection of us channels itself into our business. And so I'm going to take you through every aspect of multidimensional business. Today, we're going to talk about some real important, potent concepts around 3D strategy. Tomorrow, we're going to speak about frequency alchemy and how your frequency massively impacts your ability to attract clients, or if your frequency is working against the primal forces of the universe. There's so many brilliant people I come across, and it's like they have so much to offer the world, but they feel like they're trudging through mud, and it's because of frequency misalignment. And then on the third day, we're going to talk about some what I call 5D quantum creation. So I want to teach you about how the quantum actually works. That term is thrown around so much, but I want you guys to understand how this works so you can kind of unplug from the distortions that are around you that are keeping you small and truly and deeply anchor into the vision that is there for you. All of you will have a vision, and I'm sure it feels really powerful and potent, but sometimes it feels like at arm's length. Like it's just there, but you haven't quite cracked it open yet. How many of you are at that point? Give me a yes, so I know what we're working with, or give me a no if you're not. Let me know if you're like, there's something there for you, but it's just like, it's at arm's length. You're not quite sure how to tap into it. It feels very slow. It feels like, how am I ever going to get there? Like, I get that more than you know. And I understand it. I'm always online watching people. I use Facebook and Instagram and those sorts of platforms as like case studies to see like, oh, I know who the people are who are doing well. And I don't even have to look at their business or their website. I could just tell through how they present themselves and through how they construct their messaging online. I could tell who those people are, but I can also tell who the people are who have amazing talents and gifts and something to share with the world, but are struggling. And I can see that through how they message. And I'm going to teach you about this today. And this today is insanely important. And the cool thing is what I'm going to teach you today is where most people get wrong. Most people online right now are throwing shit at the walls and hoping it sticks. And I've done that myself. And what I want to say is that it will never stick properly if you don't understand. I'm going to teach you the neuroscience and the psychology behind what drives human behavior. This is freaking crucial. So I know all of you are beautiful spiritual beings. You all believe, I'm assuming, in manifestation and spirituality. Otherwise, you would not be attracted to me and what I do in the least bit. I can assume that with great certainty. But you also understand, because we still are living on this plane of the 3D, our ego is what drives the majority of our behavior. So we have to understand how that operates. Now, one of the biggest pieces I see spiritual entrepreneurs leave out of the equation is this piece around strategy and how to construct messaging properly. Because unfortunately, right now, in this plane of existence that we live in, in this time and space and in this reality, it's not enough. It's not enough to say, I'm going to manifest and I'm going to pull everything through the quantum and I'm going to attract all my clients into me. You have to understand what drives behavior and how to navigate the realms of aligned strategy. Now, I've kind of gone full circle with all of this. I've worked with extremely quantum mentors and I've been deep into spirituality and attraction and all of that. And I love it all. And there's a place for all of it. And then for some reason, my soul took me into this other place of just craving strategy. So I've hired some of the best mentors and I have some of the best mentors in the business in terms of strategy. And I asked my higher self, I'm like, why is that? Like, what's going on here? Why have you taken me from immersed in full quantum creation and frequency and energy, then to kind of a 360 into full strategy and understanding business from that standpoint? Like, why am I on this crazy ride? And they said, and it was very clear, it was almost audible. It's because I have to be able to reach the people that are in the 3D plane. We all are in the 3D plane technically, but I have to be able to speak to them clearly. I have to understand what drives these people and I have to be able to call them in that way. And if I don't understand that, then I cannot powerfully impact the way I want to. And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Great. And I'm still on this journey where it's like, I can't get enough. I cannot get enough. And so what I want to teach you today are some of the things that I've noticed that are missing. Some of the pieces that people are just kind of leaving out, but people are they're just like pushing to the side and not taking into consideration the importance of it. And so I'm going to share this with you today. So we're going to get into the cracks of messaging and really understanding what is actually driving behavior, what is actually attracting people to you, or maybe not attracting people to you if you feel like you're just kind of spinning your wheels and you're putting like really compelling content out there, but it just doesn't get traction. Like, what is the gap? I'm going to show you that gap today. And if you can nail this, like this right here is the dial turner online in terms of 3D strategy. And there are lots of other little pieces, but I tried to, I really anchored into myself. I'm like, what is it? What are the most potent pieces I can give today that will really help people? And this is what came through. So I really want to talk about the importance of a couple of things. Now, when people come to me, and I've said this before, and if you've heard me say this before, it's because I really mean it. If people come to me and say, Sarah, I hear that you're helping people make however much money and doing all these, amazing launches for yourself and for other people. Like, how can you help me make money? I am not going to be the right coach because you won't have the right intentional, energetic drivers. Yes, I want everyone to want to make a lot of money into that and for that to be a result of your business. Of course, that's why we are all in business. However, if that is not the key driver, you won't have everything that it's going to take to really, truly create purposeful, aligned, impact-driven success. And I'm going to take you through all of this right now and why this is the case. Okay, so yes, I'm going to take you through everything, of course, what I just said earlier, what encapsulates in terms of multidimensional business. And I'm really excited. Honestly, once you put all of these pieces together and truly anchor into this as an embodiment, so you understand aligned strategy, you understand what drives consumer behavior, you understand who your person is and how to attract and pull them in from a beautifully aligned space. When you tweak your frequency and you have the right energetic embodiments and you know how quantum creation works, when you put these three pieces together, you are unstoppable, truly. And not from, and I talk about this a lot, not from a conceptual place, not from, oh, I get that, I understand it. It's from an embodied place. So what I mean by that is like, if you have the right why, you have the right purpose, you have the right things driving you, you have the right embodiments, meaning that you know at the crux of your being that you are a deliberate energetic creator and that there is nothing that can impact your ability to create your own reality. I want to say that again. There's nothing that can impact your ability to create your own reality. And you take directives from your soul and take aligned action. There's literally nothing that can hold you back. if you embody that. So we just did a launch for the Business Academy, and I was in America. You guys are, a few of you have been following me, and you probably wouldn't know. Hopefully you wouldn't know, but there was so much that went wrong. Complete transparency with that whole launch. So much that went wrong is freaking crazy. Every time I was sending voice notes to my team and they were sending voice notes back to me. And every time I'd play a voice note, my dad would be in the room and they'd be like, "Oh my God, Sarah, I'm so sorry this is happening. I can't believe you're going through this." And like every time my dad's like, "Jesus, what is going on with you? Like, are you okay?" But none of it mattered to me. Like, I was just so centered and was just like, yeah, that's cool. Like, no worries. It happens. Literally thousands and thousands of dollars were lost. None of it really shook me. And it was because I'm driven by a cause and a purpose. I know without a shadow of a doubt what my destiny is. I know without a shadow of a doubt, like, what I'm here to do. And so when things go haywire, because they will, this is just business. If you are driven by a purpose, that purpose is a consciousness. It will keep you so freaking rock solid in your center. And I need you to know that. And this is what it truly means. This is what it truly means to be embodied. And I want you guys to understand that. My business isn't perfect. I don't have things handed to me. I work for it. I work for the embodiments. And if you are driven by a purpose, it doesn't matter. You will be on the ride. You will be pulled. So I want to teach you how to tap into part of that today, because this is also when you tap into a purpose, when you tap into a why, not only is this your biggest driving force, it is the light in you that does not dim. That is what your purpose is. It is your light that does not dim. But funnily enough, it is also the thing that drives human behavior. And if we understand how to articulate this properly, this is how you call clients in from a strategic standpoint. And it's cool because you get to interweave all of this stuff that makes you feel insanely amazing, no matter what's going on outside of you. That's crazy. And it gets you up in the morning. It keeps you up excitedly at night. But this is the thing that drives human behavior outside of you as well. And so when you work out how to articulate this online, this is how you call people in. And this is what most people don't do right. And if I wish I could have everyone on here watching this, because if you nail this part, this is what's going to turn the dial for you online and what's going to build huge momentum for you in your business. Rightio. Now, yes. Okay. So today I'm going to take you through two really important things. I want to have you guys understand how to construct messaging. So many people get this wrong on business and it's too confusing. And confusion equals no conversion. Let's just say, if people are confused about what you do or why you do it, you will have no traction, no following. So we need to be very freaking clear about what you do and why you do it. And I want to teach you how to construct that so you are consistent, so you stay with it, so you can deliver a variety of contents and talk about a variety of topics, but stay within an umbrella of consistency. I'm going to teach you how to do that because this is what most people don't do. Like I witness people online and one day they're talking about, have a morning routine, get your health and vitality right. And the next day they're talking about, here's how to build your intuition. And then the next day they're talking about, here's how to connect in relationships. And you're like, what do you do? Like, what? I don't know what you do. This is very confusing. You can talk about all of that stuff, but you have to have it pointing to one consistent overarching thing. And I'm going to teach you how to construct all of it. So you never feel like you're running out of topics to talk about, but you're creating consistency. This is a major thing that people get wrong online all the time. But before we get into messaging and creating consistency around messaging, the biggest and most important thing is understanding your why. Now when you understand this literally breaks selling, and selling is serving. Okay. I want to get this whole negative stigma around selling. I want to wash that away. Please, guys, you are all here because you are beings of light. You have a purpose. You have something that drives you deeply. You know there's something more for you. And there's this whole negative stigma around selling, but when you know there's more for you, you have to tell people what it is you do. And in that way, when you know you can impact them, you know you could shift them, you know you can change your life in a certain way, that is serving. So I want you to link serving and selling. It's the same. It's one and the same. If you have any other icky feelings around this, I want you to unplug from that, because we don't teach you how to sell icky here. We teach you how to sell and serve in a beautifully aligned way. And that's what I do and embody. I teach you how to do that in a beautifully and aligned way, selling and serving. And if you're not selling on a daily or weekly basis, you're not fueling your business with its life force, which is money. So I want to clear, I wasn't even going to talk about this, but for some reason, this is all coming up. I want you guys to really anchor into the fact that you are deeply serving by telling people about your business that is a consciousness that has chosen you. Your business tapped you on the shoulder and it says, I want you to be the steward of this consciousness that wants to come through onto this 3D physical reality, and it's plane. So are you doing your best to represent it in the way that it deserves? Or are you kind of shying away because you're nervous, because you tell yourself stories about what you think people will think? Now just be honest with yourself. Are you really being bold in your mission and purpose? And are you being loud, not loud in an obnoxious way, but are you really boldly putting yourself out there and saying, this is what I do, this is why I do it, and this is how I can help you change your life? Click the link below. I want you to just truly know, like with every aspect of your being, take the energy. When I say sales, I want you to take it. It's a frequency. Visualize it as an orb. I want you to invite it into your system. And anything in your body that repels that, I want you to feel the story around it and alchemize it. That's going to be a huge one, especially for my beautiful light beings who have associated sales with so much negativity that they're just so repelled by it, that they don't want anything to do with it. I don't want to be the slimy salesperson. It's so funny. There's always like the word slimy and then sales. And it's like, there's that association we've created. So that's not going to be me. So therefore, I'm not going to put myself in that category at all. Well, then you're not serving. I want you guys to change the game. This is higher realm service. Higher realm sales is service. I could not be sitting here sharing all of this if I didn't understand that from the core of my being. I couldn't be sharing this with you guys in the way that I do, because I don't do anything that doesn't feel aligned either. Okay. That was a little tangent, but an important one for some reason. Now, I want you guys to understand this. This is the neuroscience. This is biology of what drives human behavior. This isn't just fluffy energy, light stuff from frequency and quantum. This is actually hardened into your biology. People do not buy what you do. They don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. Now, this is from Simon Sinek. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but the Business Academy has, because I've spoken about this to you guys already. But I really want to ingrain this deeply into your psyche. People do not buy what you do. They buy why you do it. Now, this is a really interesting one. And again, Simon Sinek does this. He does this chat on YouTube, but he talks about how companies construct their messaging. Most companies construct their messaging from the outside and they work in. And this is where companies fail. And this is where most people online fail. For example, they talk about what they do. Well, I am a business mentor. I teach people how to build businesses. Well, how do I do that? Well, I run webinars and I do live group calls. And why I do it? Well, to help them create freedom. None of you are here because that's how I construct my messaging. None of you are here because I teach how to build businesses. That's what I do. Most companies use their messaging in this format. They talk about what, then they talk about how, and maybe they'll talk about why. But this does not drive consumer behavior. You guys are not sitting here with me because of what I do, because what, meaning I teach you how to build a business. You are here because of why I do it. Why I do it. Why do I do what I do? Because I believe everybody is a deliberate creator. I believe that all humans are meant to live free. I believe that anything less than abundance and freedom and choice is a distortion. I just happen to teach people how to build businesses. That's why you guys are here. Nobody is here because of what I do or how I do it. Anyone online who teaches how to build businesses, most of us do the same how. Most of us have online portals. Most of us run live workshops. Most of us do launches. That's how we all do it. Most of us do that the same. Very few people, though, online have my why. I am driven by freedom. That is my why. When I was a kinesiologist, my business was free me kinesiology. I was freeing people of their mental clutches, of their physical pain, whatever it was that was keeping them bound up. I am driven by freeing people and helping them to understand who they are as deliberate creators. We interrupt this awesome podcast episode to tell you about my life-changing Quantum Business Academy. If you are ready to take your business to the next levels of abundance and freedom, then you're definitely going to want to hear more. Please don't take my word for it though. Here is one of our alumni sharing their experience.
Wow. Where do I even begin with QBA and serotonin and my time in the container? Let's start with knowing that I have the permission to create my wildest, deepest, biggest vision. I had my highest cash day. I completely changed the direction of my business. I landed in my purpose and my passion. I felt like being a part of it all has given me the permission to truly be me and make the deepest impact possible. Yeah, wow. Serotonin and QBA changed my life. It was so deeply healing to be in a space with like-minded people who are service-based, here to literally serve other souls, and to be held in such a space where you can come as you are and you are seen in your unique gifts, your talents, your desires, and to have your vision come to life around other beautiful people is something that I will be forever grateful for. And being led by Sarah in all of her vulnerability, her humor, her loving, unconditional, nurturing ways. Wow. Honestly, wow. If you want to know more, then please head over to my show notes, book a call with me, or you can message me in DMs. Now let's get back to the podcast. You guys are not here because of what I do. You're here because of what I believe. And you have to understand what it is that you believe and what your why is, because that is what drives behavior. If you're online talking about what you do and how you do it, that does not drive behavior. If you understand why you do it and what you believe, that is what calls people in. People are drawn to you because of your why. And if you're not clear on this, you're not going to understand how to create and formulate proper messaging. And not only proper messaging, powerful messaging. And Simon talks about Apple being like one of the most profound examples of this. You know, how many computer companies are out there? And most computer companies talk about what they do. They talk about how they do it. And some people talk about why. And if you're talking about why I'm doing this to make money, that is not a why. That is a result. You do something, money is a result. It is not a why. And actually, I talk about in the Business Academy, results are an actual slave code, because people will enslave themselves for a result. They will stop at nothing to get a result. That is not driven by inspiration. That is not driven by purpose. That is something totally different. It's outside of your vortex. Your why is anchoring you deeply into a vortex of frequency. This is where when you're anchored into a why, this is how you access the other dimensions of business, which is the frequency, which is the consciousness of what you're meant to be doing. If you're disconnected from this, then you're not going to be able to operate on the multi-dimensional level, and you're not going to be able to drive traffic properly and understand how to work with human behaviors. Now, if you break this down, this is like a neurological science. The what? So if we look at the outside in, most people talk about what they do online. This is what I do. Woo! Everyone look at what I do. Really fun, really cool. This biologically, the what is speaking to the part of your brain. It's the
cortex. Now, this part of your brain is responsible for rational thinking. The what topics, the what content speaks to the analytical part of the brain. It speaks to the rationale. It speaks to, how to, the pros and cons, the aspect of yourself. But that part of your brain does not drive behaviors. It's the limbic brain that drives behaviors. And the why always will speak to the limbic brain. It's that part of you where you're just like, this is a gut feeling. I have no words. The limbic brain doesn't operate based on words. It operates based on emotion. So if you are in something and you're like, oh, I don't know what this is. It's something that's driving. It doesn't make sense, but this is just what I have to do. This is why talking. This is what drives every aspect of humans' decision-making processes. And if you're not speaking to the why, you're not able to understand how to drive human behavior. I'm going to break this down even further. So don't you worry. I'm going to give you a really cool example of this. And again, this is from Simon Sinek. So this just lights me up. Oh, I love this so much. And guys, you will know, I want you to have this in the forefront of your mind. What companies can you say are challenging the status quo through speaking through their why? It's companies like Tesla. Tesla and Ford are the only two car companies that made it through the GFC. Tesla, Elon Musk, he challenges the status quo. That is what drives him. That is his why. He's not driven by profits. And he actually, even though he is the richest man in the world, and this is what I mean by all of this, he isn't driven by that. He talks about the fact that if somebody was to come along and to challenge his technology and say we have a better way of doing it, he wants to invite him on board because his mission is challenging the status quo and improving technology for the world so we could be a better place. That is his why. He's not driven by profits. He's not driven by that. And therefore, he can have some of the most challenging things, building rockets. I mean, what? Electric car industries? This is how his company is this is why he's one of the richest men in the world, is the richest man in the world, because he understands his why, and that's what drives him. If you guys understand this, you will have the vehicle that you will hop into and you will be taken on the ride. But if you feel like you're pushing shit uphill and trudging through muck, it's because you don't have this driving you. But once you tap into this, step aside because things will start to get really good. Now, another example, and this is the one that Simon uses, is of the Wright brothers. And I freaking love this so much. And I spoke to the Business Academy about this, and this is just so inspiring. It's so inspiring. So, obviously everybody knows who the Wright brothers are, hopefully. They were the ones who created, the first ones to take flight. And we really want to understand what their journey was and how they were the first brothers on this planet to create flight. That is something that changed the whole course of our world and how we travel. And this is a really inspiring story because I want you guys to understand what their story was and what drove them. Now, you hear about the Wright brothers, and they are obviously famous for what they've done, but most of you probably have not heard of Samuel Langley. Now, back in the day, he was paid by the War Department $50,000 to crack the code of this. They picked Samuel because he had a seat at Harvard. He was very well known in the industry. He had all the backings. He was very well connected with all of the most brilliant minds on the planet. And they were like, okay, well, this Samuel guy, he's the guy to crack the code of this flight. So the War Department hired him. He gave them all the funds, gave them all the brilliant minds. All the New York Times followed this guy around as he tried to crack the code of flight. But everybody was rooting for him. Everybody was thinking, okay, this is going to be the guy, but nobody heard back then about Orville and Wilbur Wright. These were two brothers that were driven by a purpose. They knew that if they cracked the code of this is going to drive and change the course of humanity. They used the funds from their bike shop to fuel their projects. Every time they went out, they brought 5 spare parts of everything because they knew they would crash at least 5 times before they discovered something new. And that's what drove them every single day, day after day after day, barely skimping by with their own little beautiful bike shop. They were so freaking passionate, and their passion was contagious. People wanted to be with them. People would work for them for free because of the passion, and that's what drove them. But then you have Samuel Langley, on the other hand. He was driven by the success. He was driven by the fame. He was driven by the money. And the passion the why wasn't there. The money's not enough. The why was not there. So finally, when the Wright brothers, they cracked the code of this, December 17th, 1903, Wright brothers, they took flight. And it was a monumental time in history. And what do you think Samuel Langley did? He quit. He was done. He didn't say, oh, let's figure out how we can make this better. Or, oh, congratulations, guys. Or, oh, let's see if we can, how do we enhance this? He was done. He was not driven by a purpose. It was a soulless endeavor for him. And so you can look at these two stories. The Wright brothers, and nothing going for them except for a why and a purpose. And they changed the course of all of humanity. You look at somebody like Samuel Langley, who had everything going for him. He was backed by the U.S. government, the War Department. He was backed by the most brilliant minds at Harvard. He was on the board of the Smithsonian. He had the New York Times following him around, and he didn't do it. Why is that? So this is what most people don't nail. They don't understand. And this is the very thing that drives consumer behavior. This is the very thing that will help you crack the code of your own creation. When you understand your why, when you know and you can articulate what you believe, people don't buy what you have to sell. They buy your why. They come to you because they believe what you believe. And if you're not sure about that, or if you're not sure how to articulate it, then you're not going to be able to call your tribe in. And when you do tap into this, step back, seriously. And I have my own stories. And you guys, if you would have followed me, you would have heard my stories back in the day when I had nothing going for me, when I first had my corporate interview and I had that lady point her finger at me and say, this is a 6-figure position. Can you handle it? When meanwhile I had made 13 grand the year before. There was something in me that was a divine yes. And there was a purpose that drove me, a why. It wasn't about making the 6 figures or the money, but I did it because I had something in me. There was nothing going for me, by the way. Everything was stacked against me. And if you feel like everything is stacked against you, but you're driven by a why, you will make it. But if you're driven by how do I make money? How do I get the fame? How do I get the clout? That is not enough. It will never be enough. It will never be enough. What's going to wake you up in the morning and get you excited? What's going to, when your launch goes haywire and you've lost thousands of dollars, what's going to be like, I don't know, it doesn't matter. None of it matters because I have a mission and a purpose and I'm fulfilling it now. And I'm building the codes of anchoring into an entrepreneur by understanding what can happen in launches so then I can teach people what not to do and be even more anchored in my purpose. That's why I freaking love it. It's weird. It's weird. I am so anchored deeply in teaching people how to become the most potent entrepreneurs that when shit goes haywire, I actually love it because I know I'm being coded for this. And this is how I know I'm in my purpose and I've nailed my why and that I understand the deeper layers of how to teach people how to build freedom. This is why I do what I do. This is why you guys are here listening to me right now. Not because I teach you how to build business, because I teach you how to anchor into freedom. And once you discover that for yourself and you understand how to articulate it, this is how you create worlds. How you create worlds, my friends. Oh my goodness. Okay. So what I want to do now that we know one of the most important aspects to business, what propels you, what will keep you going. Things aren't always going to be like beautiful and great and easy and whatever. And that's cool. It was so interesting. I was watching and some of you were on the transmission with Sandrine and she was channeling the Octurians and they were talking about contrast and like our purpose is, to evolve and, contrast is a part of that journey. And the Arcturians were saying that contrast is a part of a lot of the realms, all the dimensions, and that humans are the only ones that think it's bad. And I thought that was really interesting. I thought, oh my goodness, I feel like in myself personally, I've actually had that bit of shift in consciousness where so much was going quote unquote wrong around me, but I was just kind of devouring it, knowing that, oh my God, I'm getting so much out of this and not labeling it as bad. So interesting. The positive and the negative are just materials for construction. Remember that. And this is where it gets fun because you're the architect. All right. So now in order to put this all together, but I'm going to teach you some ways so you can come back to this and really understand how to construct your messaging so that you're creating consistency, so that you're creating congruency, so people understand what you're on about and people know your why. And you can be concise and clear about, there's no confusion around it. Because remember, confusion equals no conversion. So there's a few different reasons why there's a few different aims as to what you want to do when you market online. One of the aims is to inspire. One of the aims is to educate. And one of the aims is to entertain, like, be yourself, be funny. I hate it when people get online and like a very formal, like they put their formal voice on and they're like trying to talk like, like they're like some sort of authority. Don't do that. Just be yourself. Be funny, make mistakes, just be you. Authenticity, my friends. Oh my gosh, it's so freaking important in this day and age in marketing where people are trying to sell you things and there's so much lack of trust. Authenticity and how you hold yourself in your own authentic energy. Don't think you have to put on any sort of front or be someone that you see online. One of the girls that was, when I was doing the launch for the Business Academy, I was in my dad's like spare bedroom and there's, a treadmill behind me. She's like, oh my God, I'm so glad. Like you don't have to have things perfect. And I'm just like, no. In fact, I sometimes like go almost in the other way where it's like, I don't want to imprint imperfection codes onto people to think you need to have A, B, and C all perfect and ironed out before you jump in. No. This is real. This is reality. Like this is you. Show it. This is how you're going to call people in. Okay. So let's talk about your messaging. Once you guys understand what your why is, this is going to be the overarching thing that drives everything that you do online. So for me, I've said it to you already. My why is all about freedom, teaching people how to understand themselves as deliberate creators. Because when you're able to crack the code of that, crack the code of frequency and understanding how you are as an energetic being, this is true freedom because there's nothing externally that can impact you in your ability to create. This is everything. This is everything I do. So that is my why. And this is the overarching thing that I link everything to in my messaging. So this is me knowing this, me knowing my why and what my overarching thing is what's going to create consistency and congruency in my messaging. Now, I could talk about all different topics. So let's just say, I would say you guys should give yourself about 3 to 4 different pillars of topics. So I could talk about, for example, I was saying earlier, people are talking about like health and wellness. And then sometimes they talk about intuition. And then sometimes they're talking about relationships. And it's like, well, what do you want about? Like, what do you like? It's like, oh, this is what inspired me today. Well, it doesn't matter because there's no consistency or congruency in your messaging. You're just randomly talking about something because you think someone's going to be interested in it. It's going to create confusion. It's going to create lack of clarity. Therefore, it's going to create no conversion. Does that make sense? Don't just go on and talk about something because you feel inspired about it. You can do that if you talk about, let's say, health and vitality, intuition, and relationships. If you can link that always back to your overarching purpose of why. This is how you can create consistency and congruency within a lot of different subtopics. So if I'm talking about, well, okay, if you really want to feel free and you want to understand yourself as an energetic creator, your body is an aspect of that. Therefore, blah, 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 health, vitality, fact, or whatever. I'm not just going to talk about health and vitality and not link it back to my overarching purpose and my why, because there's no consistency in that messaging there. There's no overarching connection with what people, why would somebody follow me? Are they going to follow me because I'm going to give them nutritional facts? Are they going to follow me because I'm giving them tips on how to crack open their intuition? Are they going to follow me because I teach them about business? People need to understand why they are following you, and they will know that through the one consistent, for you, understanding your one consistent overarching banner. What is that for you? So for me, I talk about business. I talk about strategy. I talk about, all of the things when it comes to creation. And this is important because this is your vehicle to freedom. I teach you how to build that vehicle. I also talk about manifestation. These two things, depending on the person talking about it, may not be connected at all, but for me, they are. We talk about manifestation. We talk about energetic beings. We talk about healing and all of those sorts of things, all linked to freedom. But these two I also link together, because for me, you can't have one without the other. But for somebody else, maybe they're the two opposite topics and they don't know how to link them. So there's no consistency or congruency in their messaging. So what I recommend to you guys is understanding what your overarching thing is, and then give yourself 3 to 4 subtopics. So for example, mine would be business and strategy. That's a subtopic. So business creation. And under that, there's a million different things I could talk about under the business banner. So I could talk about strategy. I could talk about online. I could talk about Lord knows what, a lot of things. And then I talk about manifestation all the time. That's another pillar of content. But then there's a million different topics I talk about under the manifestation banner. But I'm linking it all back to my overarching, constant and consistent messaging of true freedom. And then the other thing I talk about, you'll hear me, is all the distortions, all the lies, the matrix plugins. This is a really important one. And I always think you need to have a pillar that is connected to what they go through, their pain. Because if you don't, then then how can you relate to them? If I'm talking about you must feel stuck, you feel that you're on this hamster wheel, you feel there's something more for you, you're not quite sure what's happening, then you think, oh, Sarah's talking to me. She knows what I'm going through. So what is that pillar for you? And then obviously I'm connecting that to my freedom, because I talk about the distortions and I give you the antidote of the distortion. I say, well, if you're in the distortion of doubt, the antidote for that is divine knowing. And this is how you break free. Link it back to the overarching message, consistent messaging. Too many people get this wrong. Step 1, they don't know how to drive behaviors through knowing their why. People don't buy what you have. They buy what you believe. They buy why you do it. And if you don't know that, you don't know how to drive human behavior. Second thing people don't do right, they don't understand how to construct messaging with consistency. And if you can nail these 2 things online, holy shit. Step back. And so what I invite all of you to do is to think about, okay, firstly, how do I inspire? How do I educate? How do I entertain? But more so, not from a place of being like, I need to put it on. Like, I can't, I don't do the videos and dancing around and all those sorts of things. And that's cool. If you do that, that's amazing. But that just was manufactured for me. Whatever you do, you don't want to manufacture content. Just be your authentic self. I entertain by showing people like how I stuff up all the time. And I laugh at myself. I'm not perfect. That's the other thing. If we wanted to tack a third thing on, so step 1 is knowing your why and what drives human behavior and what you believe. Step 2, consistency in your messaging. Step 3, consistency in the frequency of when you post. Most people also get step 3 wrong, by the way. There's no consistency. So it's like, oh, you have a really cool message, but you post every other week. So it's like, I don't know, are you dependable? So people kind of lose a bit of authority and credibility for people when you aren't consistent. And the way I cracked that code, well, now I have other people doing that. Luckily for me, they just go through my content and they pull blurbs of what I've talked about. And actually I have a phone here recording me. So I'll send that over to them. But what you can do is 1 day a month. when I was creating my own content, just write, just free write. Like I take myself to a beautiful place. I'd have a cup of coffee and I just pour my heart and soul onto a computer or paper. And then I would take just quotes of that, or just little like short copy where it's like just maybe 3 or 4 sentences and a tile and a picture. And I would batch create my content for the month in like 3 hours. Maybe you do 5 posts a week or whatever. Maybe you do 3 written pieces of content and 2 reels. Like reels are so freaking easy. I literally, my reels on Instagram now are taking beautiful sceneries that I film that takes me 10 seconds to film and clip it to something inspirational someone else has said, and then have a little quote of mine on there. And that's a reel. You can get way better advice on reels from other people, but that's what I'm doing. But honestly, when it comes down to this, when it comes down to knowing that people buy from you because they believe what you believe, and if you can convey that clearly through your messaging, this is how you create a powerful foundation in your business. This is how you create freedom. Truly how you create freedom. Thank you so much for listening today, beautiful soul. I hope you got so much gold and were activated in such a way that you could step into your highest timeline of abundance and freedom, because it is more than possible for you. If that desire has been planted in your soul, it is so deliberate. If you wouldn't mind, please rate, review, subscribe to this podcast so that we can get this message into the hearts and ears of more amazing light beings across the world. I would love to continue this conversation with you, so feel free to get in touch on Instagram at sarah.tynan.quantumcoach. If you're a Facebook person, you can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Tynan International. And please don't ever forget, if your desire is there, it's because your destiny is there too. You just have to remember who you are. Bye for now, beautiful.